been desperate for a long time. I'm doing SCP-387 Living Lego.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Yeah, dude.
After having noted,
Hold on.
viewer discretion is advised.
It's advised you listen to this. If you don't want to be violent, then click off the video. I'm probably about to get less and less views from my channel, aren't I?
After having noticed that they were animate, they excitedly conferred and began building several objects that they intended to use in battling each other.
Oh,
These
wait.
included a transformer and
I just
a
remembered
one
the captions are there.
The children were instantly removed, at which point the creations began to fire and eventually destroyed each other. Hello,
Whoa.
everybody.
Was
I'm
it
Russ.
really that
Today,
strong?
we bring you SCP Foundation's Safe Class Object
Safe?
387. SCP-387,
How can these guys be
known by
easy
the
to
alias
contain?
Living Legos, is a tub of Legos containing shapes found in normal commercially available sets,
Oh,
and
cool.
ones not found in standard sets, such as circular wheels and prisms.
There's
It
prisms
has
and
no
Lego.
brand name, and every company in
You literally
Japan
just said there's no
and
prisms.
thus far has denied ever making irregular Lego. When the tub is not full, either partially filled or almost emptied, the Lego will slowly duplicate themselves,
Oh, wow.
stopping when the container is full. Similarly, when an amount of SCP-387 higher than the tub's capacity was placed upon the tub, it will shrink until the red tub was fully filled. The interesting property of 387 is that when constructed by a human hand, the constructions will animate themselves, performing activities based on their surroundings. In an experiment, a robotic arm was used to construct a car out of 387. It did not animate. This test was repeated with a human hand, at which point the car animated as usual.
Alright, I'll just go see if it worked on my other video. Oh wait, keep that there. Okay, good, it works. You may not hear it, but I can. So yeah, just go get back there. How do I do it? I have an idea. Living Lego. Let's go. Oh wow.
The car animated as usual. A dead hand from a recently dismembered agent was used, and of course, there was no response. The hand was then heated, which still provoked no response. It appears that 387 responds to a pulse, or
Oh.
some other detection of human life.
That is actually
And
terrifying.
according to the result of the experiment, if a Lego man, which is a man constructed using the provided humanoid parts, is placed within a car, it will begin to drive it. Further experimentation
Whoa, that's a big ad.
and indeed, any complex machine needs no internal engine or power source.
Nice.
The Lego people have some form of sentience, as they interact with each other quite readily.
Just gonna put my phone up here.
If left over a period of time, the constructed people and buildings will evolve.
Nice.
They will take on occupations based on the buildings around them. Like, for example, some people will become firemen and use fire trucks if the corresponding objects are there. They will also use 387 to construct more things to expand their society. Humans can interact with them quite peacefully. But if a human becomes hostile to them, they will immediately cease all activity and become inanimate.
Oh,
This
why do you have to be rude to him?
One of the experiments. A small community of 387 was formed in a testing chamber. A plane constructed from normal Lego was placed to the side of the community. Over the next 3 hours, the following changes were observed. Several Lego men procured some equipment from SCP-387, heading over towards the plane. With incredible efficiency, the Lego men constructed what was, for all intents and purposes, a working airport. The specific pieces having been supplied by 387 without visible signal. Then, a petrol tank zoomed over to the plane, apparently filled it with fuel, despite earlier observations that vehicles constructed from SCP-387 do not require fuel. The plane
He's just doing his job.
Takeoff, flying around the room at low speeds and altitude, seemingly to avoid crashing. More planes of different make and design were formed soon after. Judging by this, constructions of 387 have some form of understanding of the surrounding
Yes, I ate my hot dog.
and they are able to convert existing Lego to 387. SCP-387 was first found out by Agent H during a long train ride back to the city he lived in. Agent H discovered the tub containing SCP-387 behind the seat he was seated in, and began constructing a Lego man out of amusement. Several seconds later, it became animated. Agent H quickly disassembled the man and delivered the item to Site 19 for analysis, where it now remains.
Nice.
Following the discovery, the security tapes from the train were confiscated.
Why is it always every single SCP comes like Site 19 and only Site 19?
Harm it poses, it is stationed in a storage container in Site 19 with a standard lock. The red tub in which SCP-387 is contained does not possess any unusual properties itself, as it has been determined through testing. But SCP-387 will not duplicate itself unless at least a layer of it covers the bottom of the aforementioned container. A sheet is available for those wishing to utilize 387, and access will be revoked if it is not properly restored. Also, as further testing has revealed that it does not have any dangerous and unusual anomalies or features, this SCP has been in high demand for extended use. In the personnel testing, SCP-387 has improved morale and attitude by 87%. As a result, Dr. Arch suggested that all personnel should be allowed to use it freely for recreational activities, and the request was later approved by the Foundation. However, SCP-387 should not be given to children under the age of 10, especially if the aforementioned children are influenced by cartoons and television shows. Several young children were given SCP-387 and instructions to use their imagination. The children, who had their memories of this experiment removed, began constructing various objects. After having noticed that they were animate, they excitedly conferred and began building several objects that they intended to use in battling each other. These included a transformer, or a M1 Abrams tank. The children were instantly removed, at which point the creations began to fire and eventually destroyed each other, though not after considerable effort. How the hell did these children gain knowledge of the workings of a M1 Abrams tank? I'm not responsible for cleaning out the mess those things make. If anyone is stupid enough to let children go at 387, I am not recommending an upgrade to Euclid, as the constructions did not fire whilst in the presence of humans. This has been tested with adults and proved just as correct, said Dr. Arch. In another
Thank you,
experiment,
Dr. Arch.
Foundation's personnel emptied the red tub containing SCP-387. Then, commercially available Lego was then placed in the tub for a minute. Constructed objects were inanimate and remained so. It is noted that the Lego placed within the tub also did not duplicate itself. Later, a single block of SCP-387 was placed within the red tub. It also does not replicate. More of SCP-387 is added until the bottom layer was covered, at which point it began to replicate itself quite rapidly, until it had been filled. The 387 removed from the tub continued to work. According to this experiment, it appears that the red tub itself has no abilities by itself, and 387 will not duplicate itself unless in that particular tub. Perhaps this is a copyright mechanism that stops copies of 387 being made. Further experimentation is being tested.
I just remembered, speaking of copyright, this was made by the rapper.
Figurines near SCP-387 and left the break room with senior research, Emily. When this happened, SCP-387's world began to go berserk. The village constructed of 387, hereafter known as Blocksville, felt something horrible coming. All of a sudden,
What the
Air
heck?
Chaplain Dionis heard a scream in the distance and saw a police motorcycle crashed into a pole. As he approached the crash site, he saw the motorcycle carry the remnants of Jack, horrifically mutated by the powers of chaos, attempting to lash out at him. With ease, Dionis stomped down on the spawn's head, ending its pitiful life. As soon as he looked up, he saw a flight of mutants making their way through the streets. Hefting his Crozius and his Stormbolter, he stood in front of the
Crozius and
mutants,
Stormbolter.
banging
What
his
kind of names
fist
are
against
those?
his chest. Face me, and I may grant you your absolution in death.
Nice.
The mutants screeched and rushed him at once, while Dionys rushed forward, his Crozius alight in a killing blaze. He lifted his Crozius overhead and brought it down with the Emperor's righteous fury, utterly destroying the mutant's head. Beside him, Captain Adaris swung his hammer around, launching a nearby car at unholy speed and destroying a swatch of incoming mutants with the impromptu projectile. While all this was happening, Carly and Emily returned to find the break room in sheer horror. Carly let out a big sigh, donned her goggles, and grasped the knob handle, her clipboard ready to shield her from stray projectiles. It's cleanup time. At this moment, 387's world became still. Holy hands began to descend from the heavens, taking the mutants up and utterly destroying them. As quick as the hands took the enemy, it brought back those who were overcome, those who were unfortunate enough to have been forcibly warped. As the hands finally stopped the grand cleansing, one of its fingers reached down and gently stroked Dionys on the head. Dionys prays to the Emperor, for he forgives and protects. Adaris prays to their savior. Dionys, however, was still mentally recovering from having been personally blessed by the God Emperor herself. The researchers finally put the mega blocks away.
So they're gods, but they're also just people.
The chaplain Carly touched had commissioned a giant golden brick statue of her, and the minifigs were giving it worship. Remember to check out the new animation.
What? I'm kind of curious what the original picture of that is, to be honest. You know what? Never mind. I'll search it up on my own. I just feel shy. Okay, bye. That all rhymes. Nobody will stop me from rhyme.